I'm beginning my 4th attempt at this video. I just cannot find the words to express the pain which greets me day after day from the minute I wake up to the minute I fall asleep. I am so weighed down by grief I can barely sit up. I am spending my days in bed, even when it's a beautiful day outside, and it's like I have no hobbies anymore. As Francis Weller writes in his book The Wild Edge of Sorrow, we are laid low by grief, taken below the surface of the world, where shadows and strange images appear. We are no longer moving in our brightly lit, daytime existence. There is no life in this world I have succumbed to, and I feel like an alien whenever I have to go out. I enter a shop dripping with lace, with handmade scarves and luxury accessories. In it is a pregnant woman about to bring a new life into the world, her belly met with excitement from those around her. Where is the place for people who are grieving in this culture? Where do we belong? Everything is too much. Too bright. Too happy. I leave the shop before I am the only one in there and have to converse with the shop assistant. I wait in the car for my mum to finish her shopping. It's not like me to finish at the shops early and leave empty-handed. When I get home I crawl into bed again. I don't want to live my life and I just want it to be bedtime already. Right now bedtime is the highlight of my day, and waking up the next day is the lowlight. The days are slow and excruciating. It's just one foot after the other as I drag myself to the finishing line of the day. I often feel I cannot go on like this. The one person who gave me strength has now left me weak. I am weak without her and the fatigue is spreading to everything. I used to love going for long walks deep into the woods, but now I can only manage short walks as I am tired and get frightened I will not make it back. I felt on the verge of panic sitting in a crowded restaurant today with my family and almost had to leave. And just in general I feel this is one loss too many. I was already down on the ground. I was already depressed, isolated, and I have had a number of traumas in my life so far which has not put me in a good position to deal with this loss. 8 years ago I lost my first counselor, the first person I told my story to, and I never recovered from the deep depression this tipped me into. It feels like I am drowning, pounded by wave after wave, barely able to catch my breath before another one hits. I guess you might be wondering who it is I'm grieving and what happened. I don't really want to go into the details, but I have mentioned this friend a few times in previous videos. Everything felt more bearable with her around. When we were together it was like we went into our own little bubble and the world faded away. She was one person I was happy to share my bubble with. She could make me laugh even though I was depressed and her friendship meant everything to me. I went from wanting to die all the time to being afraid of dying because it was like my life was finally just beginning. My depression was gone just like that, but unfortunately it came back just as quickly. I became pretty dependent on her emotionally and now that she is gone, it's like some kind of awful drug withdrawal. A part of me is still waiting for her. Waiting like Hachi the dog, if you have ever seen that movie. I continue to turn my phone on each day hoping to hear from her, only to get a blank screen. I never got closure and it feels like a slow, agonizing death. While we weren't going out or anything, I am experiencing this loss like a bad breakup or even a death. The reminders of her bring so much sadness to my heart. I see reminders everywhere. Flavors of Youth was definitely a tearjerker. I saw myself so much in Xiao Ming's story about how he couldn't hang on to anything he loved. The two sisters also reminded me of my friend and I, as she said she felt like we were sisters. If she'd let me be in her life, I would bake her a cake for her birthday just like Lulu. I never realized just how much grief feels like fear. Over the past week or so, I've felt close to panic several times. When I look to my future, it's like looking out at the endless sea. I've got my whole life in front of me, and that terrifies me. I just cannot see a future without her. I swing between wanting to die and being afraid of death. I had a few nights where all I'd dream about was death. About how I'm going to die and my family's going to die. Our mortality is something that people in this culture bury, that I have buried. But suddenly it was coming up and haunting me. I also started questioning my spirituality and belief in something more. My dreams were incredibly nihilistic. I started questioning souls, questioning afterlives, questioning spirit guides, questioning the meaning of life, whether there is meaning to anything at all. This is definitely one of the most awful things I've been through.